The Super Mario Bros. Movie had a crazy ending and even some post-credit scenes that we have to talk about that could tie into the future Mario films that we could get after this one, which is super exciting. And of course, obviously, if we're talking about the end of the movie, that is going to have tons of spoilers. So you are being warned right now. Yes, there will be spoilers for the end of the movie in the post-credit scene. So you have been warned. Before we get started, let me tell you about today's sponsor. Of course, you heard of them, Raid Shadow Legends. Now, you heard about these guys millions of times, I know, but let me tell you real quick what you're missing out on. There are tons of champions to collect, a super in-depth RPG battle system, and intense PvE boss fights. This year marks the 4th anniversary of Raid Shadow Legends, and it's a perfect time to look back at the accomplishments that you and your champion have completed together. Like the first time I summoned KL, and actually stuck him outside of a dungeon that was a little too difficult for him, because then he died in that dungeon and had to do it again, but then fighting a boss in that dungeon and actually completing it, which then gave me an artifact that he got to pose with, and for his hard work, I gave him a gift. And of course, my champion KL had help from his other champion buddies as well, which actually made this whole thing possible. But Raid Shadow Legends continues to grow even bigger as it now offers the long-awaited live arena PvP, which allows you to group up your greatest champions to duke it out against another player's greatest champions live. There's a lot of huge things coming to Raid, and there's no better time to start than now. Use my link in the description or scan my QR code to get insane bonuses. We are talking an epic champion, Kellen the Shrike, and other useful things like energy refills, magic potions, and XP brews. Once you're in, come find me and join my clan under the name Nin10doland. Just hit my link in the description and I'll see you on the battlefield. And thanks again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring today's video. So Bowser holds a royal wedding similar to Super Mario Odyssey, where he is trying to marry Peach, but Peach has other plans as she sneaks an ice flower in her bouquet and freezes Bowser. He then breaks free and announces that he's going to launch a bonsai bill and crash it into the Mushroom Kingdom, completely detonating it, where Mario swoops in with his Tanuki suit and smacks it in the eyeball, which causes the bonsai bill to put its focus onto Mario as it chases him around the kingdom, and Mario leads it back to the entrance pipe into the Mushroom Kingdom. The bonsai bill goes into the void where it's the space in between kingdoms and galaxies, and it detonates, causing a massive explosion, which I want to stop and talk about this scene for a second, because this could have huge implications for the future movies. That explosion could have ruined multiple different kingdoms, because we've only seen 2 so far. We've seen the Bowser Void and obviously the one leading to the Mushroom Kingdom, which means there could be multiple, and I mean multiple different entrances to different places. There could be one going into the Bing Bing Kingdom, one going into the Sunshine Islands Kingdom, maybe one going into various different places like the Galaxy Kingdoms and stuff from Super Mario Galaxy, maybe even one going into the Pilo Kingdom from Mario & Luigi Dream Team. So maybe this is how they bring in characters from other games, but I think it's important because that explosion was like a nuke, man. It was massive, big enough to bring in everything from the Mushroom Kingdom back through the pipe all the way back to the real world of Brooklyn. So that tells me that maybe that explosion could have affected other kingdoms, and that's where our story takes place next time. Maybe these kingdoms are upset with that explosion and come to the Mushroom Kingdom to find out what the heck that was. Thanks to the explosion, with everything brought into the Mushroom Kingdom, Bowser is now in Brooklyn, running the streets and causing chaos everywhere. This is actually probably a reference to the old classic Super Mario Bros. Series, where Bowser actually does make it into Brooklyn and goes crazy on Coney Island, calling it Koopa Island. Here, Mario and Bowser have a 1v1 in the streets of Brooklyn, you know, good old-fashioned style, and Mario actually gets beat pretty bad, and I think it's just because he's in the real world. We start to see scratches and bruises on his face because we didn't see any when he was fighting Donkey Kong within the Mushroom Kingdom. But I think now Mario's starting to see, like, this stuff is actually hurting because he's back in his world. But Bowser ends up chasing Mario back into that pizzeria that he started in at the very beginning of the movie as he's scared for his life, but then musters the courage to come back out. Meanwhile, Peach and Donkey Kong are taking on Bowser in the crowd as Mario gains that courage. Bowser then shoots a massive flame at Mario, where Luigi pulls up a manhole cover and blocks the flame in order for Mario to get the Power Star to power them both up, giving them invincibility and allowing them to use Bros attacks, very familiar that we've seen within the Mario & Luigi series, and also grabbing Bowser's tail and spinning him around Mario 64 style. They then give Bowser a mini mushroom and put him in a glass jar, eventually putting him in a tiny cage kept under watch within the Mushroom Kingdom's castle. Now, here's the thing with this. We've seen Mario get this mini mushroom earlier, and he actually loses it by taking damage. So technically, all Bowser has to do is take damage bridge in order to grow big and break the cage again, which probably will happen. Something that's not really explained in the movie is what happened to the rest of Bowser's castle, his minions, Kamek, and everybody after Bowser was captured. Did they run away? Did they all escape back into the Mushroom Kingdom somehow? How did they get Bowser's castle back in that pipe? Maybe his castle is still in Brooklyn, and maybe in the next movie we'll see it be turned into like an amusement park or something, because maybe it's like a memorial for what happened that day for Mario and Luigi saving Brooklyn. That could definitely happen. But as far as the rest of the minions and Kamek, why didn't they step in to help Bowser? Like, Kamek has the ability to turn Bowser into a massive creature, and also the ability to do pretty much anything with that wand and even teleport. So why did Kamek like not exist in that final scene? I mean, unless I forgot something, maybe Mario and Luigi pounced him really quick and I just didn't see it. But Mario and Luigi does run through a large amount of Bowser's army, defeating them, so maybe everybody else got defeated and Kamek retreated for the time being in order to come up with a plan in order to save Bowser for the next movie. Yeah, right now Bowser is tiny and in a cage and under the watch of some toads in the Mushroom Kingdom. So like, yeah, Bowser's gonna get out somehow, it's just a matter of time. Then we see Mario and Luigi built a home and will stay in the Mushroom Kingdom and help out when they need to. But at the very end, at the very final post-credit scene, we go back into the sewers where Mario and Luigi once entered the Mushroom Kingdom. Down there we see a lone egg sitting in some rubble, which is obviously a Yoshi egg, and this probably came into the Brooklyn pipeline through that giant explosion thanks to the Bonsai Bill, which sucked things in from the Mushroom Kingdom into Brooklyn, and that's why this Yoshi egg is here, which means there could be some other things like other Mario enemies and characters that are still in Brooklyn somehow and they got left behind, just like this Yoshi egg did. The egg cracks and we hear Yoshi's iconic voice yelling, "Yoshi!" And then obviously it cuts out. I think I did pretty good there. What makes this interesting is a lot of people thought we'd be seeing more from Lumily and maybe that they would tie into the post-credit scene, maybe Rosalina coming by to pick him up and then take him back home or something, tying into a Galaxy movie next, but there was no other references with Lumily. It was just there to be this depressing character that made us laugh during the movie when Luigi was tied up in the cage. So what the point of this character? I don't know. I still think it is going to eventually tie into something Galaxy related, but maybe not as soon as the next movie yet. Remember, we haven't seen a lot of the kingdoms already within the Mushroom Kingdom. We barely saw Toast Arena and we barely saw Bob-omb Battlefield as they were walking through it. And then we barely saw the Yoshi's Island area with tons of Yoshis running and stampeding around. So maybe Nintendo wants to take it slow. They don't want to just jump into space already because that already eliminates a lot of things on the ground. So I think they need to revisit some of these kingdoms because we spent a majority of our time in the Mushroom Kingdom and within Bowser's Kingdom area. So we really need to go back and look at some of these areas and maybe have more enemies and character references and stuff. And I think that's what Nintendo wants to do. That's why Yoshi is going to be the main character next time around, not like Rosalina or something like that, because Yoshi could tie into an entirely new story that would work perfect, and let me explain what I mean. Maybe Mario's future journey is just going around the various different kingdoms with Yoshi and kind of exploring them and helping out different areas of cultures and different creatures and stuff throughout these different kingdoms would be really cool. You have tons of references from these past games as well, and I can see it almost taking a Super Mario World journey, where that's where Mario, initially meets Yoshi, and maybe Mario and Yoshi have to team up to take out the Koopalings. One of the Koopalings was referenced extremely quick in the movie and it was very easy to miss, but the name on Bowser's piano said by Ludwig von Koopa. Now, Ludwig is one of the 7 Koopalings, which definitely could eventually make an appearance. So seriously, Ludwig exists somewhere in this universe, we just haven't seen him yet, and I'm sure the other Koopalings are there with them, and they're probably going to come to help Bowser, and maybe Bowser's son is the one that goes to recruit them. Bowser's son could be anywhere within the Dark Lands, we just haven't seen him, maybe playing in his room, not really, helping his dad right now, but after Bowser's defeat, maybe Kamek goes to get Bowser Jr.'s help. And maybe him and the Koopalings are the ones that free Bowser Jr.'s dad and get him out of there in order to, start chaos once again. And Mario has to go throughout the various different kingdoms, taking out members of the Koopalings and their airships, and eventually making his way back to Bowser again with the help of Yoshi. I think would be an excellent story. Of course, we can talk about this in a separate video because it would go on and on about all the possible things that they can do in this next movie. That ending left the door open for so much potential that Nintendo can do with the next Mario Mario movie, and I'm so excited to see what they go with. Of course, if you guys are really interested in hearing about that, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, because I'm going to be talking about this Mario movie for probably the next month until Tears of the Kingdom comes out, because there's just still so much to unpack and uncover with this movie and talk about with the future of Nintendo films. But thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Mario and Nintendo in general, and I will see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.